This is the Algebra 1 notes for note 7-2, parallel and perpendicular lines. Use the graph below to find the slope of each line. Line A is this dotted one. The slope of this line is positive, and each time we are going up 1 and over 3, up 1 and over 3. So our slope is positive 1 over 3, up 1 over 3. To write the equation, we need y equals mx plus b, so y equals the slope and the y-intercept. My y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4. So my equation, y equals 1/3 x plus 4. Line B is this solid line. Finding the slope, we are going from one point to the next, up 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So again, our slope is 1/3. Our y-intercept is at -1. So our equation is y equals 3x minus 1. Line C is this dotted line. This again is a positive slope. My y-intercept is down here, and I'm going up 1, 2, 3 over 1. 1, 2, 3 over 1. So our slope is positive 3 over 1, which reduces to just 3. My y-intercept is at -1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So our equation is, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our equation is y equals 3x minus 6. The last line, line D, has a negative slope. The y-intercept is at -1, 2, 3. And the slope is going down 1, 2, 3, and over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. So our slope is -3 over 1, which reduces to just -3. The equation, y equals mx plus b, y equals -3x minus 3. Using this graph, which lines are parallel, or which ones never touch? If we look closely, we can see that A and B never touch, they are parallel. And if you notice, their slopes are exactly the same. Which lines are perpendicular? Perpendicular means that they cross at a right angle. So they make a perfect T when they cross. I can see that C crosses line A and line B, but it does not make a right angle. However, D makes a perfect cross at lines A and B. So D is perpendicular to A, and D is perpendicular to B. Notice that line D, the slope was -3, or -3 over 1, and line A and B had a slope of positive 1 over 3. So notice their slopes are opposite sign, and they are reciprocals, or in other words, they are flipped over. To help us remember this, we will say that perpendicular are flopposites, opposite signs, and they are flopped over. So right now we are just going to work with our slopes. We are given a slope. We want to decide what the slope of a parallel line will be and what the slope of a perpendicular line will be. Remember that parallel is the same. So if I give you a slope of 2/3, the parallel slope would also be 2/3. Perpendicular, we flop. Opposite sign and flip it over. So a positive 2/3 will change to a negative. And if I flip it over, I have -3 over 2, 3 on top and 2 on bottom. Negative 4, parallel is the same, a slope of negative 4. And remember, we can always put a 1 underneath a whole number. So if I flop it, I change the sign, a negative becomes a positive. I flop it over to 1 over 4. A slope of negative 1 over 4, parallel is the same, negative 1 over 4. To flop it, I change the sign, I make it positive, and flip it over, 4 over 1, or just positive 4. A slope of 2, parallel is the same, slope of 2. Remember, this is a whole number, so 2 over 1. To change it to perpendicular, flop it, so opposite sign, and flip it over, 1 over 2. Negative 1 over 2 is our perpendicular slope. This last one is a little tricky. I have a slope of 0. We know parallel would be slope of 0. And a slope of 0, if I remember, is a horizontal line. Perpendicular, if I have a slope of 0, it's a whole number, I could say 0 over 1, and I flip it over, I would have over 0, and this is not okay. If I think about it graphically, if I have a horizontal line, the perpendicular line would have to be vertical. And the slope of a vertical line is undefined. So perpendicular to 0, slope would be undefined. Vertical is perpendicular to horizontal. Let's work a few problems. Determine if the given lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So remember, parallel means same slope. Perpendicular means flopped. And neither could be, they're not exactly opposite and they're not the same. So they are just lines that cross. Y equals negative 1/2 x minus 4. My slope is negative 1/2, and y equals 2x minus 8. Notice that these are flopped. I have opposite signs, and I flip from 1/2 to 2 over 1. That means these lines are perpendicular. Number 2, y equals 3x plus 7, and y equals negative 3x plus 2. My slopes are 3 and negative 3. These are opposite signs, but they are not flipped over. So they cannot be perpendicular because they're not flipped over, and they're not exactly the same, so they can't be parallel. So these lines are neither perpendicular or parallel. Number 3, y equals x over 7 minus 6, and y equals 1 over 7x. Remember that in front of this x there's really a 1, so our slope is 1 over 7, exactly the same as our second line, 1 over 7. Since our slopes are exactly the same, these two lines are parallel, they never touch. Our next two problems, we are given information and we are asked to write the equation. So number 1 says write the equation in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph of the given equation. So remember, parallel means same slope. We are given the equation y equals 5 over 2x minus 4. From here, we know that our slope has to be the same, so our slope is 5 over 2. We have a point, 2, 9. So we have a point and a slope. We are going to start in point-slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. Filling in our pieces, y minus the y value from your ordered pair, so 9 equals m, our slope, same slope, 5 over 2, parentheses x minus x1, x value from our ordered pair is 2. We want our equation to be in slope-intercept form, so we need to solve for y. Starting with distributing, y minus 9 is equal to 5 over 2x. 5 over 2 times negative 2 is negative 5. And still trying to get the y by itself, so I add 9 to both sides. Y equals 5 over 2x, negative 5 plus 9 makes positive 4. Our new line has a slope of 5 over 2 and a y-intercept of 4. Positive 4. Number 2, write the equation again in slope-intercept form of a line that passes through the given point and is parallel to the graph of the equation. We need to go through the point 4, 5, and parallel to 5x minus y equals negative 10. Guys, this is in standard form, so that means we don't know the slope. We have to first solve this for y equals mx plus b so that we know the slope. So I'm solving for y. I will start with subtracting 5x on both sides. Negative y is equal to negative 5x minus 10. I've got to get rid of that negative in front of the y. Remember, really, this is a negative 1. So I divide everything by negative 1. And I get y equals positive 5x plus 10. So our slope is 5. Parallel means same slope, so we need to keep our slope the same. We now have a slope, and we have a point. So we are going to use point-slope form of an equation. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Y minus the y value from our ordered pair is 5, equals m, our slope, 5, parentheses x minus the x value from our ordered pair is 4. We need our final answer to be in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b. So we need to get the y by itself. Begin with distributing. Y minus 5 equals 5x minus 5 times negative 4 is negative 20. Trying to get the y by itself, so I add 5 to both sides. Y equals 5x negative 20 plus 5 is negative 15. Y equals 5x minus 15. This is the end of note 7-2.